Hello and welcome to this audio introduction to the Law of Gravity, presented by Scottish Ensemble and Blind Summit. My name's Jonathan and I'll be taking you through this visual overview of the upcoming production, in which puppeteers and musicians defy the rules to reveal the unseen, unheard and unknown. A live audio description commentary will be available at the Dundee and Glasgow performances. Just ask for a headset from the front of house team at your chosen venue. The live AD will seek to enhance the movement and the visuals without detracting from the music. Scottish Ensemble is a pioneering collective of musicians who champion music for strings, exploring the power and breadth of musical experience in performances across Scotland and further afield, and blurring the boundaries between genres and art forms. For 20 years, Blind Summit have consistently subverted people's expectations of puppetry, from giant storybook characters in the opening ceremony of London's 2012 Olympic Games, to The Table, a globally successful touring production that completely upended audiences' understanding of how puppet and puppeteer communicate. The performance of The Law of Gravity lasts approximately 65 minutes and will have no interval. 2 pieces of music are performed. First, Philip Glass's Symphony No. 3, arranged by Michael Riesman, and secondly, Arnold Schoenberg's Verklärte Nacht, or Transfigured Night. Here's director Mark Down on the inspiration behind the project.
So one of the inspirations for this piece is an essay by Kleist called On the Marionette Theatre, in which he discusses this idea that the puppet is the ideal dancer, that the puppet has no self-consciousness, and that it moves completely naturally with gravity. Puppetry presents lots of other problems, but one thing the puppet can do is form any shape as perfect as you like, and it can stay in the air for as long as you hold it in the air. So that led us to this title, The Law of Gravity, and the puppet we have is a ballet dancer puppet, and it sort of never lands. When it's standing on the ground, it's still a few inches off the ground, and it looks like what a dancer would love to be able to do. One of the things we've been exploring is this question of what is seen and not seen, which I think is really relevant to this collaboration between music and puppetry, because you look at musicians, but you're there to listen to the music. And so the specific purpose of the puppetry is to be seen, and the specific purpose of the music is to be heard. And to some extent, I suppose the musicians and the puppeteers both want to be invisible in a way. But of course, they are who you've come to see, because the instruments don't play themselves and the puppets don't play themselves. So that paradox is really what we've been looking at.
And of course, this idea of elements of the performance being seen and not seen takes on an added significance in the context of audio description, which we hope will manage to translate these subtleties of the interplay and movement between all the participants. The stage is bare, with a plain black backdrop at the back of the space. There are 2 groups of people, the 6 musicians of Scottish Ensemble, 2 playing violin, 2 viola and 2 cello. The musicians have stands holding tablet devices housing their sheet music, operated by foot pedals. In addition, there are 4 puppeteers from Blind Summit. All of these people are dressed in black clothes, a variety of roll-neck jumpers, wide-legged trousers and jumpsuits, and all wear soft black shoes, a little like those worn for ballet. The violin and viola players stand and can move more freely, sometimes walking as they play. The 2 cello players are seated on raised platforms with wheels. The puppeteers interact with a variety of different objects, including low stools and music stands of their own. Signs are employed on sheets of A4 paper, and there are also larger cardboard panels which nearly obscure the puppeteers as they manipulate them. Other cardboard props include a cartoon-style space rocket. The puppeteers sometimes appear to control the musicians, moving the stands of the upper string players to lead them through the space, and physically moving the platforms holding the cello players to rotate them and move them around the stage. The most significant prop is a life-size puppet of a boy, Peter. Peter is a wooden puppet with wide, black, almond-shaped eyes and his mouth slightly ajar. He has fair hair and rosy cheeks and wears a red neckerchief, his body painted to resemble a short-sleeved white shirt, navy shorts above the knee and black shoes. His fingers are slightly splayed, as though reaching for something. On his head is a round astronaut's headpiece or helmet, and his cheeks and body bear highlights in silver paint, which catch the light and give the impression of a spacesuit. Peter is operated by the puppeteers, who make him move fluidly through the space as the work progresses. Here's one of the musicians, Naomi Pavry, on how she's found this collaboration.
This experience has been absolutely amazing, working with the puppeteers and Peter the puppet, and it has most definitely influenced how we approach our instruments. There's no question about that, because we've become much more aware of how our bodies work in relation to our instrument. We're so used to just picking up the bow and putting our left hands down and just not thinking about it, but actually seeing how the puppeteers operate Peter the puppet. It's very deliberate, but done in such a way that you don't realise that's what they're doing. You're looking at Peter as almost as a human, I guess. Yeah, I've been much more aware of my body. I think it has definitely influenced how we think about our bodies, and definitely in the way that we translate that into our instrument.
Now a brief overview of how the law of gravity unfolds visually. At the start, the musicians are arranged in a curved line at the back of the stage, while the puppeteers sit on stools at the front, each with a music stand. As the music of Glass gets underway, the puppeteers begin to tell the story using sheets of paper. Some bear musical notes and clefs, or Italian phrases like andante, staccato. Words spell out, "The law of gravity states that every particle attracts every other particle in the universe." Now the puppeteers hold up images including a planet, a rocket, an asteroid. They bring sheets of paper together to form a stylized drawing of Isaac Newton with resplendent curly hair, and an apple which begins above his head and then falls slowly to the floor. More sheets of paper, bearing disjointed lines, are brought together to form the outline of the boy puppet, Peter. Next, the puppeteers clear the stools and stands from the front of the stage, then operate the musicians, moving them around to face away from the audience. Plain cardboard panels are used next, concealing the puppeteers who cross the stage from side to side. One uses a cardboard rocket, pointy and cartoon-like, with a single round window and blasters at the bottom. The rocket swoops around, tilting and turning. A tiny cardboard astronaut drifts through the space too. Then the puppeteers interact with cardboard replica instruments. To end the glass work, the puppeteers manipulate the musicians, who appear to swirl around the stage, their limbs sometimes loosening as though pulled down by gravity. A brief pause separates this work from the Schoenberg. The rocket is back, behind the upper string players, before we meet Peter in his astronaut helmet. He drifts through the space lit by a bright light, sometimes taking little brushing steps and sometimes moving with large strides. He hangs in space, his arms and legs akimbo, sometimes straight like a pencil and hanging upside down, and at one point curled up, almost in a fetal position. He moves around the stage, watching and moving amongst the musicians. Eventually, Peter leaves, and the staging returns to how it was at the beginning, the musicians at the back, and the puppeteers alone at the front, looking up towards the sky. Now some closing thoughts from Mark and first Naomi.
I think the collaboration of this project has been super important for everybody involved. The musicians, the puppeteers, the puppet, the director, our director. It's a wholesome, organic process. And I think hopefully if we can show that we've worked together in an organic whole way, I think the result of that should be pretty good.
My hope is that what I'm learning, we're able to illuminate for the audience so that they can see it as well. And I guess I'm a seeing person. So bringing that seeing thing to music, and then musicians bringing their ears to puppetry, that's an amazing meeting, potentially.
Thank you for listening to this audio introduction, and we at Scottish Ensemble hope you enjoy the performance.